The charity auction at the Metropolitan Museum buzzes with Manhattan's wealthiest when Park Jae-won notices her in the sculpture garden. A black woman in an emerald gown stands alone, sketching in a worn notebook, completely oblivious to the fact that every major art collector in the room has stopped to whisper about her identity. The gallery world recognizes her instantly. Destiny Crawford, the contemporary artist whose latest exhibition has been making waves across 3 continents. Jae-won doesn't hesitate. Before we dive in, beautiful people, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way you can support us as we continue delivering captivating stories that'll keep you hooked every single day. He walks across the polished marble in 4 confident strides and takes the empty seat beside her without asking permission. "That line is wrong," he says, his English carrying the precise accent of someone educated abroad. "The curve of Rodin's bronze doesn't bend that way." Now she looks at him. Dark eyes, sharper than the society photographs suggest, and a guarded expression that tells him she's weathered every shallow approach wealth can manufacture. "How would you possibly know what I'm drawing?" Her voice is honey and steel. He gestures toward her sketchbook where bold charcoal strokes capture the sculpture before them. "You're reimagining it, not copying it. Making it yours. The way you approach your own installations, breaking down what we think we know and rebuilding it into truth we can't ignore." Her breath catches. No one looks at her work that closely. Critics, collectors, gallery owners, they see the finished pieces, the statements, the auction prices. But this stranger has glimpsed her process, the vulnerable heart of creation before confidence and completion. "Maybe you're the one who needs reimagining," she says softly. The words land like recognition, not flirtation but prophecy. In this moment, surrounded by the artificial glamour of Manhattan money, Jae-won feels something he hasn't experienced in years. The absolute certainty that he has found his mirror. Not someone who completes him, but someone who reflects him back to himself with startling clarity. "Jae-won," he says, offering his hand. "Park Jae-won." She accepts it, and the simple contact sends electricity through both of them. "Destiny Crawford. Though I suspect you already knew that. I know your work." His fingers don't release hers. "The question is whether you understand what you're about to become." Before she can respond, camera flashes explode around them like fireworks. A journalist's voice cuts through the sudden chaos. "Mr. Park, is this your mysterious American companion? Is the Seoul Financial News reporting an international romance?" Destiny pulls her hand free, alarm flashing across her features. But Jae-won doesn't flinch, doesn't break eye contact, doesn't let the invasion shatter this moment that has already altered the trajectory of both their lives. "Some encounters," he says quietly, meant only for her, "are worth any consequence." The crowd pushes closer, questions flying like projectiles. Destiny's gallery representative materializes with practiced efficiency, already calculating damage control. But Jae-won remains perfectly calm in the center of this sudden storm, watching the woman whose presence has just made his carefully structured world beautifully, impossibly complex. The cameras continue rolling, but neither of them moves. 2 people who have just discovered that sometimes fate announces itself in the most public, most inconvenient, most perfect way imaginable. And when love crosses oceans and challenges expectations, every risk becomes necessary. The headlines arrive before Destiny's morning coffee finishes brewing. Her phone vibrates continuously on the marble counter of her Soho loft, notifications flooding in faster than she can process them. "Mystery artist captivates Korean business heir," screams page 6. "International romance ignites at museum gala," declares the Arts Journal. Marcus bursts through her studio door without knocking, his silver hair disheveled and his designer jacket hanging crooked. "Have you checked social media this morning?" he demands, waving his phone like evidence in a trial. "Because social media has definitely checked you." "I was simply talking to him," Destiny protests, though the memory of Jae-won's intense focus makes her pulse quicken. "People have conversations at charity events. People don't usually have conversations that dominate the entertainment news cycle," Marcus retorts, scrolling through article after article. "Do you understand who he is? Park Jae-won isn't just wealthy. He's heir to Park Global, one of South Korea's largest conglomerates. His mother practically controls half of Seoul's real estate. And according to Forbes, he's worth approximately $700 million. The number hits Destiny like cold water. $700 million. She'd recognized wealth in his tailored suit and expensive watch, but she hadn't grasped the magnitude. Her own success, impressive by artistic standards, suddenly feels infinitesimal by comparison. There's more, Marcus continues grimly. The Korean business press is calling it the connection of the decade. Apparently he's never been photographed with a woman before ever. His mother gives interviews about appropriate partnerships and family expectations, but he's remained completely unattached until last night. Destiny sinks into her favorite chair, the same worn leather where she'd sketched her first gallery proposal 8 years ago. Everything feels surreal. The photographs of her and Jae-won gazing at each other, the speculation about their whirlwind connection, the breathless commentary about bridging cultural divides. We spoke for maybe 30 minutes, she says weakly. 30 minutes that apparently transformed both your lives, Marcus observes, but his voice softens now. Destiny, I've watched you interact with celebrities, politicians, even that disastrous introduction to the ambassador's nephew. You don't look at any of them the way you looked at him in these photos. It's accurate, though admitting it feels dangerous. Something had shifted the moment Jae-won sat beside her. Something deeper than attraction or curiosity. When he'd discussed reimagining, it felt like he was reading her essence through her own artistic expression. Her phone rings. Unknown international number. Don't answer, Marcus warns. But Destiny is already sliding to accept the call. Ms. Crawford, the voice is polite, professional, distinctly Korean. This is Kim Min-ji, legal counsel for Park Global. Mr. Park Jae-won has asked me to contact you regarding the media attention from last night's event. I see. Destiny keeps her voice neutral, though her heart pounds. And what would Mr. Park like me to know? He wants to apologize for any inconvenience the coverage may create for you. He also wondered if you might be available for lunch today, somewhere private where you can speak without interruption. Marcus is making frantic negative gestures, but Destiny finds herself saying, where and when? There's a small Korean restaurant in Koreatown, Hanok Kitchen. 1 o'clock. Mr. Park will be in the private dining area. After she disconnects, Marcus stares at her in dismay. You're really going to meet him again? I need to know if what I felt was real, Destiny admits. 30 minutes shouldn't be enough to turn someone's world sideways, but look at us. She gestures helplessly at the photo still displayed on Marcus's phone. Look at how we're looking at each other. In the images, she and Jae-won appear completely absorbed in each other, oblivious to the camera flashes and curious stares. There's something in his expression, vulnerability beneath the confidence, longing beneath the composure, that makes her chest tight with recognition. What if this is bigger than both of us? Destiny asks quietly. Marcus studies his friend's face, noting the flush of possibility and the fear of disappointment warring in her brown eyes. Then you'd better wear something that photographs well, he says finally, because something tells me this lunch is going to make headlines too. The private dining area at Hanok Kitchen feels like a sanctuary hidden from the chaos of the outside world. Traditional Korean artwork decorates the walls and the air carries the comforting aromas of kimchi and galbi. Jae-won arrives first, choosing a seat that faces the entrance. A habit formed from years of corporate meetings where knowing who enters the room can mean the difference between success and strategic failure. When Destiny appears in the doorway wearing a burgundy sweater that enhances the richness of her dark skin, time seems to slow. She moves with quiet confidence, but he notices the way her fingers adjust the strap of her bag, a small indicator that betrays her nervousness. Thank you for coming, he says, rising to greet her. The formal courtesy feels inadequate for the connection crackling between them, but neither knows how to navigate this territory. Thank you for apologizing, she replies, settling into the chair across from him, though I'm not certain what you're apologizing for exactly. For the circus? For the invasion of your privacy? For placing you in an uncomfortable position? His hands rest flat on the table, and she notices they're steady despite the intensity in his dark eyes. I didn't anticipate the media reaction. Didn't you? She tilts her head, studying him. A billionaire heir speaks to an American artist at a public event, and you didn't expect photographers to notice? A rueful smile touches his lips. Perhaps I was distracted. The admission hangs between them, honest and dangerous. The server arrives with traditional banchan, small plates of pickled vegetables, seasoned spinach and other Korean accompaniments, providing a momentary buffer against the tension. Your friend seemed concerned about this meeting, Jae-won observes as they sample the food. Marcus is protective. He's seen me make questionable decisions about men before. Destiny's voice is matter-of-fact, but he senses deeper wounds. He's also done his research. Apparently, you're quite the mystery in international business circles. Mystery implies deliberate concealment. I prefer discretion. Is there a difference? He considers this, appreciating the directness of her question. Most people in his world communicate in elaborate codes, dancing around meaning rather than confronting it. Discretion is choosing what to share. Mystery is letting others fill the gaps with their assumptions. And what assumptions have people made about you? That I'm calculating, unemotional, that I view relationships as business arrangements. His fingers trace the rim of his water glass. Perhaps they're not entirely wrong. But perhaps they're not entirely accurate either, Destiny suggests gently. Something in her tone, understanding rather than judgment, makes him look up sharply. What makes you say that? Last night when you sat beside me, you didn't introduce yourself first. You didn't mention your company or your connections. You talked about my art, about reimagining, about taking the difficult path. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. That's not how calculating people behave. The observation strikes him deeply. In a lifetime of strategic interactions, she's identified something essentially true about that moment. His abandonment of all social protocol in favor of genuine connection. I felt, he stops, uncertain how to articulate the experience without sounding foolish. Like you'd been searching for that conversation your entire life without realizing it, she finishes quietly. Their eyes meet across the small table, and the recognition is mutual, profound, and terrifying. Neither has ever experienced this level of immediate understanding with another person. My mother will want to meet you, Jae-won says eventually. Will she approve? Approval isn't her primary concern. Control is. The honesty in his voice tells Destiny everything she needs to know about Grace Park. And you? Do you always do what your mother expects? Until recently, yes. What changed recently? He doesn't answer directly. Instead, he reaches into his jacket and pulls out a gallery catalog, her latest exhibition. The pages are already marked with careful notes and observations. I purchased this after our conversation last night. I've been studying it since dawn. Destiny's breath catches. The catalog is deeply personal, exploring themes of identity, belonging, and the courage required to create completely despite past disappointments. Seeing her private artistic journey reflected in his careful annotations feels more intimate than any physical touch. Your installations challenge conventional spaces, he says. Even when it means disappointing your audience, even when it means risking everything you've built. Art often explores choices we're too frightened to make in reality, she replies carefully. What if someone offered you the chance to stop being frightened? The question hangs between them like a bridge, one that could lead to extraordinary connection or devastating heartbreak. Destiny knows that crossing it will change everything, that accepting his implicit invitation will thrust her into a world of international scrutiny, family expectations, and cultural complexities she can barely imagine. But when she looks into Jae-won's eyes, she sees something that makes the risk worthwhile. A man who has spent his entire life meeting other people's expectations, finally brave enough to reach for what his heart actually desires. I might be willing to find out, she says softly. His smile transforms his entire face, making him appear younger, more hopeful, luminously happy. Then we should probably discuss logistics. Logistics. My mother lands at JFK in 3 hours. Destiny's coffee cup freezes halfway to her lips as she realizes this quiet lunch may have been the last peaceful moment they'll share for a very long time. Outside Hanok Kitchen, neither of them notices the black sedan parked across the street, or the figure in the back seat making urgent calls to Seoul. The wheels are already in motion. Grace Park is coming, and she's never lost a battle when her family's future is at stake. Grace Park emerges from first class at JFK Airport like a force of nature wrapped in Chanel. At 60, she carries herself with the regal bearing of someone accustomed to commanding attention and receiving immediate deference. Her black hair is swept into an immaculate chignon, and her pearls, a gift from her own mother-in-law 4 decades ago, catch the terminal's fluorescent lights like armor. Mindy waits beside the black sedan, his expression carefully neutral despite the anxiety churning in his stomach. As Jae-won's closest friend and legal advisor, he's witnessed Grace's strategic mind in action countless times, but never when her son's personal happiness was the target. "Mrs. Park," he greets her with a respectful bow. "I trust the flight was comfortable." "Adequate." Her tone is crisp, businesslike. "Bring me current on the situation." As the sedan navigates Manhattan traffic, Min-ji provides a careful summary. The museum encounter, the media explosion, the lunch meeting currently taking place in Koreatown. Grace listens in silence, her manicured fingers drumming against her Hermes handbag. "Show me the photographs again," she commands. Min-ji reluctantly hands over his tablet, displaying the images that have set the international gossip world ablaze. Grace studies each photo with the intensity of a chess master analyzing opponent moves, noting the way her son gazes at Destiny Crawford, the obvious chemistry between them, the complete abandonment of his usual calculated public persona. "This is worse than I anticipated," she murmurs. "Ma'am, he's falling in love with her. Look at his face. I haven't seen him look that alive since." He trails off, unwilling to voice the comparison. "Since Ji-hoon died," Grace finishes. "Since her younger son's death shattered Jae-won's faith in happiness, leaving him beautiful but emotionally distant for 8 long years. The comparison should please her. Isn't a mother's deepest wish for her child's happiness? But Grace Park has learned that happiness is a luxury the heir to Park Global cannot afford. Love makes men vulnerable, distracted, prone to poor judgment. And Jae-won is too important to their family legacy to be allowed such dangerous indulgences. What do we know about her?" Grace asks. Min-ji opens a thick folder prepared by their private investigators. Destiny Crawford, age 33, born in Oakland, California to Angela Crawford, a high school art teacher. Father unknown officially, raised primarily by her grandmother after her mother died in a car accident when Destiny was 15. Continue. Full scholarship to Berkeley, graduated summa cum laude with degrees in fine arts and art history. Worked various jobs while developing her artistic practice, galleries, art supply stores, freelance design work. Her first solo exhibition was rejected by 17 galleries before finding success. Grace nods approvingly. Persistence and intelligence are admirable qualities, but the relief in her expression fades as Min-ji continues. She's been extraordinarily successful. Multiple gallery representations, international exhibitions, estimated net worth around $6 million. But there are complications. Such as, she's very private about her personal life, but our investigators found records of a previous engagement to Cameron Mitchell, a venture capitalist in San Francisco. The engagement ended abruptly 3 years ago under circumstances that caused significant gossip in artistic circles. What kind of circumstances? Rumors of infidelity on his part, speculation about her trust issues. Multiple sources suggest she's been deliberately avoiding serious relationships since then, focusing entirely on her career. Grace processes this information like a general studying battlefield intelligence. A woman wounded by betrayal might be more susceptible to genuine devotion, or more likely to sabotage a promising relationship out of fear. Either scenario presents opportunities for manipulation. And her current financial situation? Stable but not extravagant. She owns a modest loft in Soho, drives a reliable sedan, donates significant amounts to arts education charities. No obvious gold digger behaviors, but a woman making millions might still be attracted to a man worth hundreds of millions, Grace finishes. Especially if he can provide the security her previous relationship failed to offer. Mrs. Park, with respect, the photographs suggest genuine affection on both sides. Perhaps this relationship could. Could what? Grace's voice cuts like ice. Could provide my son with the fairy tale romance he deserves? Could give me grandchildren who don't share our family's heritage? Could create a media spectacle that overshadows every business decision he makes for the rest of his life. Min-ji falls silent. He's known Grace for 16 years and he recognizes the tone that precedes her most ruthless strategic decisions. Jae-won has responsibilities that transcend personal happiness, she continues. Park Global employs 50,000 people worldwide. Our family's choices affect thousands of investors, hundreds of business partners, entire communities that depend on our economic stability. I will not allow an infatuation to jeopardize that legacy. And if Jae-won refuses to end the relationship? Grace's smile is sharp as winter wind. Then I'll have to handle Ms. Crawford directly. The sedan pulls up to the Park family's Manhattan penthouse, and Grace steps onto the sidewalk with the confidence of someone who has never lost a battle when the stakes truly mattered. She doesn't know that at this very moment her son is holding Destiny's hand across a small table in Koreatown, making promises about fighting for their connection no matter what obstacles arise. She doesn't know that Destiny Crawford has already survived poverty, loss, betrayal, and the brutal rejection of the art establishment, experiences that have forged steel beneath her gentle exterior. But Grace Park is about to discover that some love stories are resilient enough to survive even the most formidable opposition. The war for Jae-won's heart is about to begin, and neither woman is prepared to surrender without revealing exactly how far she's willing to go. Grace doesn't wait for formal introductions. She appears at Hanok Kitchen like an elegant hurricane, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors with military precision. The elderly Korean owner recognizes her immediately. Everyone in Koreatown knows the matriarch of Park Global, and rushes to escort her to the private dining room where Jae-won and Destiny sit in intimate conversation. Mother. Jae-won rises quickly, his body language shifting to practiced formality. I wasn't expecting you until this evening. Clearly, Grace's gaze sweeps over the scene, their hands linked across the small table, the evident comfort between them, her son's relaxed posture that she hasn't witnessed in years. Miss Crawford, I presume. Destiny stands gracefully, extending her hand for a polite shake. Mrs. Park, it's a pleasure to meet you. Grace takes the offered hand, her grip firm and assessing. She's evaluating everything. Destiny's confident posture, her understated but expensive jewelry, the way she meets Grace's scrutinizing gaze without flinching. The younger woman is more formidable than the photograph suggested. Please join us, Jae-won says, though tension radiates from every line of his body. I prefer to speak privately with Ms. Crawford first, Grace replies. Jae-won, perhaps you could arrange for our transportation back to the penthouse. It's not a request. Jae-won recognizes the tone that has commanded corporate boardrooms for 3 decades and his jaw tightens. Mother, I don't think. It's all right, Destiny interrupts gently. Your mother and I should talk. The moment Jae-won reluctantly steps away, Grace settles into his vacated chair like a queen claiming a throne. The server, sensing the shift in atmosphere, quickly refreshes their tea and retreats to a respectful distance. You're quite beautiful, Grace begins, her tone conversational but her eyes calculating. I can see why my son is attracted to you. Thank you, Destiny replies carefully. Beauty fades, of course, particularly under the pressures that come with being associated with our family. Grace sips her tea delicately. Tell me, Ms. Crawford, what do you know about Korean business culture? I imagine it's quite different from American galleries, Destiny acknowledges. Indeed. In Korea, family reputation affects every transaction, every partnership, every opportunity. When my son marries, and he will marry as heir to our company, his wife becomes part of our brand. Her background, her behavior, her cultural compatibility with our shareholders and business partners, all of it reflects on Park Global. Destiny keeps her expression neutral, though she feels the subtle violence of Grace's words. I see. Do you? Because I'm not certain you understand the level of scrutiny that would accompany a serious relationship with Jae-won. The Korean media can be particularly unforgiving toward foreign women who appear to be social climbing. The accusation hangs in the air like smoke. Grace is positioning Destiny as an opportunist before she's even had a chance to define herself. Mrs. Park, I've built my career on my own merit. I don't need your son's money or status. Need and want are different things, Grace observes. And even successful women can be seduced by the lifestyle that $700 million can provide. Is that what you think this is? Seduction by luxury? I think you're an intelligent woman who recognized an opportunity last night and seized it skillfully. I also think you're unprepared for what pursuing that opportunity will cost you. Grace reaches into her handbag and withdraws a tablet, sliding it across the table to display a collection of articles and blog posts that have appeared in the past 12 hours. The headlines are brutal. Gold digger targets Korean heir. American artist's calculated romance. Black woman infiltrates Asian business dynasty. Destiny's stomach churns as she scrolls through the xenophobic and racist commentary, the speculation about her motives, the dissection of her background and finances. The cruelty of anonymous internet voices feels like acid on her skin. This is just the beginning, Grace says softly. If you continue this relationship, every aspect of your life will be analyzed, criticized, and twisted to fit whatever narrative generates the most clicks. Your privacy will disappear. Your reputation will be questioned daily. Your every public appearance will be scrutinized for evidence that you don't belong in our world. And you think I'll run away to avoid the discomfort? Destiny says quietly. I think you're human and humans have limits. Destiny studies Grace's face, seeing the calculation beneath the concern. This woman isn't trying to protect her from media harassment, she's wielding it like a weapon, demonstrating the pain she's willing to inflict to achieve her goals. Mrs. Park, Destiny says finally, I've been poor, orphaned, and rejected more times than I can count. I've survived worse than bad publicity. But have you survived it while watching someone you care about suffer because of you? Because that's what loving my son means. Watching him choose between his family legacy and his personal happiness, knowing that either choice will cause him pain. The words hit their target. Destiny sees the trap being constructed around her emotions, the way Grace is positioning love itself as the enemy of Jae-won's well-being. You're asking me to break his heart to save him, she says. I'm asking you to consider whether your presence in his life will ultimately help or harm him. A woman who truly loves him would want what's best for his future, wouldn't she? Before Destiny can respond, Jae-won returns immediately, sensing the tension crackling between the two women. Is everything all right? Your mother was just explaining the challenges of international relationships, Destiny replies, her voice carefully modulated. Grace rises smoothly. I've said what needed to be said. Miss Crawford, I trust you'll consider our conversation carefully. She turns to her son. Jae-won, will discuss this further at home. As Grace glides away, Jae-won sits beside Destiny, noting the pallor in her cheeks and the slight tremor in her hands. What did she say to you? She showed me what loving you will cost, Destiny admits quietly. Jae-won looks at her. This woman who has somehow become essential to his happiness in less than 24 hours, and waits for her decision. I've never backed down from a challenge that mattered, she says, reaching for his hand. And you, Park Jae-won, matter more than I'm comfortable admitting. Relief floods his features, but it's tempered with concern. She won't stop here. My mother doesn't make threats she doesn't intend to follow through on. Then we'd better prepare for war, Destiny says with quiet determination. But as they walk out of the restaurant together, neither notices Grace's sedan still parked across the street, or the private investigator in the passenger seat already making calls to activate the most thorough background investigation money can buy. The first battle has been fought, but the war for their love story is just beginning. And Grace Park has weapons they haven't even imagined yet. If this story of courage and connection moved you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Because in episode 2, the secrets Grace has been hiding for 8 years are about to come to light, and they're darker than anyone could have imagined. When family loyalty collides with forbidden love, someone always pays the ultimate price. Don't miss what happens next. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, beautiful people. See you in the next one.